So also, reflecting on your career and stuff, kind of thinking about a call that sticks with you. And you shared a call when you were on the broadcast with Sarah and I kind of want to focus on that here a little bit. So if you can take us through that, please.
Okay. So I was actually working a night shift and I got a call from a female saying that her house was on fire. And I'd asked her if there was a way she could get out of the house, and she initially told me no. Um, to be honest, that was the first time I was in that position.
Mm.
Even after all these years, that was the first time somebody told me no, I can't get out of my house. So of course my heart sunk. So I asked her if there was a window close by, or if she could get to a window, and she luckily had a window in her bathroom that she was able to get to. And I told her to use anything she could to bust out the window, that I needed her to crawl out that window. Um, she expressed to me she was a little concerned because it was a smaller window, and I kept encouraging her, told her to do whatever she needed to do to get out that window, that I was going to stay right there with her. Um, she ultimately made it out. She had to throw her phone down and then climb out the window. And then I told her to come right back to me, which she did, thank goodness. So I knew she was out safely as well. Because, hearing all the panic in her voice really concerned me too, just to make sure she could get out. Um, but she did. Like I said, she ultimately got out. She came back to me on the phone. I stayed with her until the fire department, the first units got on scene, and EMS came and evaluated her as well. Um, and then it was probably 2 days later, I think. As I said earlier, my husband's a fireman. He
Mhm.
actually was one of the firemen who responded to this call, and they had went back to do some further investigation on it. And she was there, so he called me and asked me if I would be interested in coming to meet her in person. And that's something that you just don't ever hear of hardly in this profession, is getting to see that side of things and behind the radio part of it, and see, like we were talking about earlier, the picture that your brain paints for you. I was actually able to go see it in real life. So I was able to see where the fire started, where she was at when it, started getting worse, and I was able to see the bathroom window that she climbed out of, and then meet her too. That, I cannot tell you, was how amazing that was for me. The feeling that I got to be able to see her in person, knowing that I was able to talk to her and help her out of the house. Just, I mean, not to take credit for it at all by any means of the imagination, but just the feeling that I got to be able to meet somebody that I had personally had an impact with was just truly a once in a lifetime experience that I will never forget and will always be grateful for.
Oh, wow. I uh, just thinking about it from the beginning of your story and thinking about my own career, I don't know that I ever had one where someone told me no. The way the way she told you no, that there was no way that she could, she couldn't get out or anything. Man, I was holding my I know the story, but I was holding my breath.
Yeah.
I was holding my breath as you were saying it because, um, yeah, I mean, and I was piecing it together as you were saying it too, the room, going to the bathroom, and just seeing it all, and a lot of times too, when stuff like that happens, that's when you're starting to think outside of the box. Like when, if there's a child caller or something and they're calling and they're like, I don't know my address. Can you look outside? Is there numbers on the house, or is there a piece of mail that's close to you that you can see the address to give me? You start trying to think as much as possible creatively as well, but
Right.
outside of the box to get them help as fast as possible. And it's a crazy job.
Yes. Absolutely. And just when you think you've heard it all, that's when you hear something new.
Mhm.
Just like that situation. I mean, I had to think very quickly, and keep myself calm so that I could help keep her calm enough to process what she was seeing, and being able to find the window to get out of and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that was, it was hard, but thankfully she was not hurt, and she was able to get out safely. And so.
What So what was that like for you, building up to that moment where you were going to get to meet her? I mean, I'm feeling anxious right now just thinking about it, like, I can only imagine how nerve-wracking it was. I would be thinking personally if it were me, like, "Okay, what do I say? Are we gonna embrace when we say hello? Am I going to break? Like, if I break, will she break, and is that a good thing or bad? Like, I would get into my head a little bit and be thinking all of this stuff, but then at that moment, I would whatever happens, happens.
Right, right. Well, it's funny you say all those things because all those things did go through my head
Oh,
on the way there. I thought, what do I say? What do I do? And I'll just be honest, I am a hugger, but I know some
mhm.
people are not. So I thought,
Oh, right, I'm the
do
same
I
way.
hug her? Do I not? Like,
Yeah.
what do I do? But thankfully, her brother was a deputy who worked on my shift as well. So he kind of
Oh,
was there to introduce us. And then it just kind of all happened very naturally, actually. And they were able to hold it together and kind of keep a lighter mood about the situation, which I
mhm.
think helped kind of keep me in check because I can only
Yes.
imagine how emotional. I can imagine actually how emotional that would be to lose a house in a fire or to know that your life was at risk that close in a fire. Um, so but they were able to kind of keep that mood a little bit lighter, so it helped me keep in check. And then they started showing me the house and things, and then afterwards we did actually hug in the end, and we got a picture together. And it happened all very naturally, and so it was great. I think it was great for me for sure, and I think it was great for her. She actually reached out to me and friended me on Facebook and things, so yeah, I
Oh,
think it was definitely it was just a really neat situation. In light of the sadness of what happened, it was a positive outcome was able to happen. And like I said, that doesn't you don't hear those things very often in our world. So
right, yeah, no, you don't. I think I mentioned this in the broadcast because, Sarah and I had been talking about Rescue 911 and stuff, and how at the very end of almost every one of those episodes, the dispatcher would meet the person that was involved in the incident, and, it's not exactly a true depiction of how things happen,
no, no,
but
not at all.
there's always that, kind of that hope a little bit, that maybe you will get a chance to meet them, and you got that chance, you had that opportunity. I think what made it, probably a little bit more comfortable too was the fact that her brother was a deputy,
Mhm.
and she kind of, understood some of that public safety side and stuff, so then coming together and everything, it just man, that's perfect scenario. It was
Yeah,
great.
it was really neat, something I will never forget.
Yeah, and it's, something definitely that you'll have there for in the future for those who are coming in, if you're ever, um, those who are training, anybody that you might be training or anything, you'd be able to share that story with them, and they can continue on. You have that experience that you can share.